Room 2, where this afternoon we will be hearing from esteemed panelists on a wide range of cool topics via Track 2, focusing on Malaysia digital tech enablers. I'm Shani Iman Lee, and as your host for this session, I hope you've had a productive time with us so far on day 1 of Malaysia Digital Week. Coming up, we'll be conducting panel sessions 2, 4, and 6 in this room, focusing on drone tech, Malaysia's data readiness, and the Web3 ecosystem. But first up, let's not waste any time and dive right into our first panel session for Track 2. Now, it's no surprise the Malaysian government wants to tap into the huge potential of unmanned aircraft systems, or UAS, and make this part of the national agenda. To do this, they've developed a blueprint aimed at supporting the entire drone industry ecosystem, dubbed the Malaysia Drones Technology Action Plan 2022 to 2030, or MDTAP 30. What does this mean for Malaysia? Well, the drone industry is estimated to generate close to 51 billion ringgit towards the country's GDP by 2030. That's just 8 years from now, and simultaneously create 100,000 new jobs. Our next session will delve into how Malaysia can benefit and soar high through various drone tech innovations. But before that, please do take note of our Slido QR code for any questions you have regarding the session. And we certainly hope you have questions, because this is a very interesting topic and will definitely generate a lot of benefit for our economy. And now I'd like to invite on stage our moderator for this session, Navin Sinnathamby, Head of Digital AgTech, Sectorial Projects and Drone Tech at MDEC. A quick introduction. At MDEC, Navin oversees disruptive technologies such as IoT, big data analytics, and artificial intelligence, while leading one of the key national initiatives under the Industry Development Pillar. Over to you, Navin.
So, very good afternoon. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
So, quick question. How many of you all have not had lunch yet? Hands up. How many of you all had lunch? Hands up. It's okay, you all are awake. Great. For those who have not taken your lunch, we offer you free great lunch. Have your lunch later, yeah? So on behalf of the Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC, really pleased to have all of you here for a very interesting session. It's called drone technology, right? So before further ado, let me introduce esteemed panel members. You can see from the looks of their faces, they're all ready to answer great questions. So first of all, let's invite Captain Sudhir from Kambyan Networks. A clap for the gentleman, because the beard actually explains the years of experience, right? Next, we have Captain Lee from Meraque. I would love to address all of them as captains, because these are the drone tech captains of the airways. And last but not least, we have Captain Syafiq from Asia Drone Technologies. So there's always a say, call yourself something and you become that person. So call ourselves captain, and alhamdulillah, we will become captain soon, right? Thank you so much. Again, ladies and gentlemen, really nice to have all of you here. But if you look around you, there is very little crowd. Do you know why? Great, I had some answers, but reality on the ground is most of the people around the world do not understand on the great opportunities created by drone technology. Most people perceive drone technology as a hobbyist, or probably some rich guy's son given a lot of money to do something, he bought drones, he started spraying, right? But drone these days became so much wider beyond your imagination. Drones transport medicines. Drones do not just spray, they do mapping. They do image quality of harvesting. Drones pick names of renter kill. They use drones, right? Pharma Niaga, Air Asia, or Capital A rather now, they use drones. Drones actually reduce the dependency on manpower, yeah, with great effectiveness and real-time data. Now, getting into drone is nice, but there are tons of challenges faced by the drones experts here. So let me start with the last candidate on the screen, Syafiq from Asia Drone Technology. As a established drone company in Malaysia now, what were your challenges and what are your challenges?
Okay, very good afternoon. So my company is Asia Drone IT Technologies. We were established in 2018. So we really focus on the talent development. In 2018, there was no one, or maybe less people actually look into talent development. Now Malaysia want to push forward into drone tech or any other kind of like technologies. But when people ask, okay, we want to invest into, in Malaysia, so where's the talent that can support that initiative? So this is where that we really go deep down to the talent development, where we actually took a step to train people. In the initial, we actually train people in just flying a drone. At that particular moment, like what Mr. Navin mentioned, people thought of like, okay, just flying drone to take photos and videos. And then eventually, this is where that we learn from people out there, from the industry out there, that hey, we need to use drone to take photos of construction. We need to take photos of the plantation, to do the tree counting, to do about topography and so forth. So from there we actually evolve and do more training on the application base. For example, in the agriculture sector, in the construction sector, and other kind of sector. So moving forward, I think some of the challenges that we are currently facing is actually on the expert who are really, have experience in the industry, not only just controlling drone to fly a drone to take some photos and videos, but we also need someone that can interpret the data correctly. For example, we do some project with TNB, and then this is where that we learn that from TNB point of sight, they need someone who can read on the thermal imaging. So they need someone who have thermographer certification. So, and this actually goes across to the other vertical as well. So, yeah, I believe that's answered the question.
Thank you so much. He mentioned about talent. Now, do you all know how much a drone pilot can actually pay? Up to 2,000 ringgit, yeah, a drone pilot, and even more based on your experiences. So that's how lucrative the industry is. Again, COVID happened, a lot of us faced challenges, some of us lost jobs and all that. So typically you go like, let's do Food Panda or Grab delivery. But compared to that, a drone pilot actually earns far, far more, right? With talent, it comes great lucrative packages too. Now, Mr. Lee, a very familiar name, if those who have seen newspapers during the COVID pandemic, there was a project done with Capital A or AirAsia for drone delivery. Mr. Lee from Meraque, what are the challenges for you to reach this stage?
Thank you, Mr. Navin.
We wish you can have a drone to fly in the mic, boss.
Thank you, Mr. Navin. Thanks all. I'm Lee Meraque. Nama sebenar Razalee, but nama famousnya Razalee je. Okay, so let's not dwell too much. But before even we go towards the challenges, I would like to highlight where we are today. When we started in 2018, we had like 3 to 5 people, all right, in the company. All right, we were a facilities management company. All right, and then we moved into digital in 2019. This gentleman right here was Ismail Sifu. He was the one who trained the team, who trained us, and today we are number 19 drone company in the world. All right. So kudos to him, not to me. Okay, so I think with proper training, with proper diligence, with proper motivation factors, I think we are all able to achieve where we are today. Now, going into the challenges, I think there were huge challenges. To give you some light, when we were in facilities management, the challenges that we took is we need more manpower because we have our civil engineers to climb all the buildings, and it takes months. It takes months to get the full report, all right, to submit to the building management, to submit to JKR and the local authorities. Then we started with drone, all right. In 2019, we started with drone. So we did for most of the large organizations, such as construction company developers, such as Massing, MRCB, and few others, to name a few. All right. Then after that, bang, 2020, All right, Muhyiddin came up with this announcement, stay at home. All right, that was the killing moment. All right, but you see what we did was, what we did was at that point of time, we didn't know what to do, okay? And I rented a house, okay? I rented a house, okay, a condo, right? And I put the team in that particular house, okay? For me, it's a good luck house, because from there, the R&D team managed to come out with a drone after a year, all right? And from that one drone, it's not a normal drone, yeah. It's a hybrid drone. So we are the only one in the country that currently having this hybrid drone. All right. So to give you a comparison, a battery drone can fly for 8 minutes. Our drone can fly for 1 hour or even 2 hours. Okay. So that's the comparison. So we came out with that level of technology within the 3 or 4 people that we had at that point of time, and from there, when the COVID ends, and so we started going into the plantation, and today we have 50 over fleets which we have done during that period of time. 50 over. All right. We have 127 pilots from 3 people in 2019. Today we have 127 pilots. All right. Not to name the engineers, the R&Ds, etc. So I think the whole entire thing, the challenges was huge. All right. But because we were passionate enough, all right, we were drilling towards it, we know that we want to do it, we did it, and today we have achieved. And what is going to happen next is we are looking at 300 pilots by year end. That's our number. All right, thank you.
We can clap for him, lah. He just mentioned great stuff. So top 20 drone companies in the world actually come from Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, world's #1 drone companies also from Malaysia called Aerodyne, right? For those who don't know. And many in the top 20 are actually from Malaysia, and you are looking at some of them in the front. So drone market in Malaysia is really, really big. We are there. So dulunya kita kata world's largest glove manufacturer is in Malaysia, Top Glove, proud. Now we're also proud because top 20 glove or drone technology companies are actually from Malaysia. Again, you can clap for the gentleman, right? From a 3-man team to a 127 people team, and he has not tell, for those who are looking for a job, he's hiring. Yeah, he is hiring, right? Betul? Betul? Okay, I mean. Right, next, last on the street, we have Captain Sudhir, and this is a real captain, okay? I'm not saying this is a real captain. So don't play with the captain. Captain Sudhir from Kambyan Networks. You can clap for him too.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so continuing on from the challenges portion of it, from the Kambyan Network, we started off, we are basically aviation guys, right? So we come from that background. But in 2017, something happened to our aviation operations. Normally, helicopter operations annually will get about 500 hours or so. And then in 2017, well, I'm talking about 500 hours operational flying in a commercial environment. 2017, we had 50 hours per year. And that made us realize that something has changed. The aviation world has changed. Because we used to do all those works that today the drones do, the aerial survey, the mapping, the plantation, whatever that they need to do, even the construction. We used to construct towers, etc., kind of stuff. You name it, everything to do with aerial works, it was the helicopter. But in 2017, reality hit us that it's either we beat these guys down and don't let them live, or we adopt them. So the whole thing here is that we look at challenges as opportunities. That's our concept. If there's a challenge, there's an opportunity. So from that, the innovativeness of the organization came into play. We looked at Malaysia as a whole and asked ourselves, if we were to deploy such high-tech technology, this is spacecraft technology. Yeah, you might look at it like what Navin said just now. His grandmother calls it hobby toys and all that kind of stuff. But it is space-age technology, maturing in front of our eyes. So if we were to deploy this in a commercial environment, safety of everybody around is going to be of a great concern. So how do we manage that expectation? It cannot come from a hobbyist, that's for sure. Because for hobby, you are safe as long as you fly in front of you. But commercial operations mean going beyond that boundaries of visual flying and all that. So that's where we said that's a challenge, but we will take it head on and see how far we can go. But then the investment required was tremendous, you know, because we're a Malaysian company. We never were innovators or creators of such technologies. We were always users of those technologies. So it was a challenge to find that kind of talent, number one. Not to say people are not smart, but that industry that sustains those talents are not available. So how do we do it? It's either we go and purchase this technology from overseas and try to bring it over, which is also another expensive lesson. We have done that many times and failed. Then the other one would be to, okay, let's get into it, you know. It's all in or nothing. So that's the challenge that we faced at that time. And we would like to say that we successfully managed to create an environment, not only an environment, a platform that is autonomous, that will be able to enable any technopreneur out there who wants to use his, we don't call drones as just drones, we call them drobots, you know. A drone that can actually maneuver itself autonomously and do work in the field. And that's where we are today for the Kambyan network. Now, the other thing I would like to say also is when we deployed this technology out in the field, we had to seek an industry that was large enough where the economy of scale can make it cost effective for everyone. So when we looked around, lo and behold, what the statistics were telling us was not true. The Malaysian statistics always put the oil and gas industry as the star of our, you know, economic income group. But that was not true. What we found out that the single largest industry in Malaysia is the oil palm or palm oil industry, if you want to call it, the agriculture industry. That's the single largest industry in Malaysia. If you just take that part of agriculture, palm oil alone, if you ask yourself honestly, how many people, how many Malaysians are involved in this, in the total supply chain, not just the laborers who work in the plantation, those you can say, oh, they are foreigners, majority of them, but the total supply chain in palm oil industry, it will surprise you. I know many people will not agree with me, but let me tell you, this is the truth. 8 million Malaysians. That's the number. Because don't forget, palm oil is in everything that we touch today. From the coffee you drink at Starbucks, to the perfumes that you use, to the pharmaceuticals, to the makeup, to the food that you eat and you bake, the pasta that you love, everything, right? So how can it be that we are not doing something for a homegrown industry like this? And that's where we said, no, we will go all in, we'll do something for this. Because if this industry collapses because of the labor shortage, the whole Malaysian economy will collapse. I'm not a doomsday guy, I'm a very optimistic guy, but that is the reality that we all have to understand. And that is why we focused on this. It's not because as a technology company that we are so engrossed with palm oil or we want to fight the lobbyists in the US and all that. Nothing like that. It just makes economic sense for the nation. And that's where we are today. Sorry.
Thank you so much. So you mentioned two very important things. Number one, most sectors are very manual based, means operations wise, yeah. Number two, how can you use drones to make it from manual to real-time basis? Now, question to the crowd. When you talk about drones, I'm quite sure you bought your kids some drones for 100 ringgit, Lazada, 10 sale came. Who didn't? Good sales, by the way. Right. Question is, in your mind, what do you think drone can do? Spraying, masa kahwin, ambil gambar, taking photo, drones fly, and they call it, wow, drones flying. Malaysians, we tend to get fascinated with small things, yeah? Wow, drone, wo gempaknya, right? But that's reality, that's perceptions. But right now, today, drones can do far more than that. Imaging. For those who drive along the highway, since there's no lockdown anymore, when you drive in the highway, left and right, you will actually see oil palm plantations. Pernah tengok tak? Pernah ke tak? Tak dengar suara lah. Bagi makan tadi kot. Okay, dengar suara gelak sikit. Now, for you to visualize, a palm oil plantation on average is 5-acre land area and above to hundreds of acre of land. How many workers do you now manually need in 1-acre land? 5 workers to spray, to harvest, to look at collection and all that. Right now with drones, we are not saying we want to remove the 5. No. We are just going to upskill and reskill these 5 to be drone operators to monitor the harvest. Now, do you all know in one palm oil tree, how many buah, how many biji tak? Who answers this get a free drone from Meraque? And I'm not kidding, boss. Correct, right? Who answers it right? Again, let me repeat. In one palm oil tree, how many buah are there on average? Berapa biji buah? 80. Ya Allah. Banyaknya. Ni palm dusu kat mana ni? That's Malaysia productivity already. Okay, but reality is from 5 to 10. Right? 5 to 10. Now, let's say a tree has only 3 biji buah. In your mind, tak subur lah. But wrong. If the pokok has only 3 biji, that means the pokok has disease. Who detects that? Right now, manual people, human. But will they see, calculate 3? Nah. Oh, ada. In Malaysia, what we do? Ada buah, tak ada buah. That's the question. But drones, ladies and gentlemen, can do fruit counting. If let's say a tree produces less than 5 fruits, the owner needs to cut the tree and eliminate it, else the disease will spread. Drones can do that. Number 2, let's say someone of us, my boss, Dr. Carl is there. Let's say Dr. Carl has about 10 acres of land. We do pineapple project. What drones can also do is to tell Dr. Carl, mapping in sense of which area of the land is good to produce, which is categorized under green zone. Brown zone means not so. And then you have the red zone, which needs a lot of fertigation and irrigation. Right now what we do, the moment we tanam tak jadi, tambah budget. But ladies and gentlemen, that's not going to work. You tambah, you're topping up on the top of a dry land. But drones can tell us that with real-time data. So I can know which area, what plant to plant, and where to plant, how much to produce. Drones can do that. So I spoke about a lot, right? So now comes the next question. Were there a lot of use cases in Malaysia ni? A lot, ladies and gentlemen, of use cases. But rather than me talking about DroneTech use cases, I would like colleagues to talk about it. Encik Syafiq, you want to go about DroneTech use cases from Asia Drone?
I believe these 2 gentlemen will talk a lot more about the plantation, but let me give a bit of use cases. The first one that I already mentioned earlier in my point would be on the power line inspection, where the conventional method of doing it, basically the people, the technician, the maintenance have to climb up, and is a lot of hazard there, safety hazard. Not only that you actually hazard with the high electrical power line there, but also in terms of height and whatnot. So this is where that when we deploy test. Okay, got. So when we deploy drone to do the inspection, so there are certain criteria, certain requirement that needed by the TNB. So for example, they want to look into whether is there any defect in terms of rust, missing component. Sometimes when you see at the pylon, you see oh tak ada apa rosak, it's okay. But when you look into the high resolution image, this is where you're going to see rust, missing Akin horn, those maybe the burn component because of the lightning strike, and in fact even there are some illegal plantation happening below of the power line. Some of the illegal plantation or resident house there. So these are the things that TMB would like us to identify, and the way that how you're going to do it is by using drone. And then the second use cases that I can share with you guys will be on the road monitoring. So I would like to say this: drone is not a silver bullet or kind of like one-stop solution for everything. It has to be complement. It has to be supported with the other technology as well. For example, AI, IoT, and so forth. And when it comes to the road monitoring, I believe in last year, Selangor government actually mentioned they're going to use drone and other type of devices to actually monitor on the road monitoring. So how they actually doing that? So to give you the overview of it, basically the images and the video captured by drone, and also the camera mounted on the vehicle by the maintenance guy, let's say with the 4x4 Hilux or not. So this video will be fed directly to the control station, where it will start automatically analyze the possibility. Is there any pothole? Is there any water pond there or not? So obviously in the first stage, I've seen that before. The first stage of analyzing it, we will take sometimes for the computer, for the AI to understand whether is it actually the correct or incorrect images. But eventually, I believe in the next 1 or 2 years, when the library become more matured and drone can fly much more further, this is where that your road, hopefully, in Malaysia will become much better in terms of detection, not in terms of repairing, because repairing is not out of like drone zone. So yeah, I believe these two use cases in terms of infrastructure will be, can be useful to you guys. Yep.
Thank you so much. Mr. Lee was about to reach out and say, hey, I got so much more to say. Mr. Lee, over to you.
Two scenarios. This is real scenarios. You can see this in the newspapers. Number one, what we had last year, similar to what is currently happening, is the flood. Okay, this is real scenario. Okay, so we are working with Pharmaniaga, the largest pharmaceutical in Malaysia. What is happening is we are delivering. So what happened last year was, this is part of Sungai Muda and Shah Alam area, if you guys know. All right, it was a disaster. Okay, no one can go in. All right, and no one can come out. All right, at that point of time, I can tell you, when we see some of the image, because there was no network, so the communication was out. No one can speak to one another, you know. So what we did at that point of time, proactively work with Pharmaniaga to send medicines. All right. So of course we know that the large drones can only carry about 5 to 6 kg, but we have like several drones carrying all the way up and down, all right, and that makes a huge, it helped during that time of period, because no one can go out and no one can come in. That's number one. So because of that, you can see some of the little kids, right, during the flood, they had this spot on their hand, and you know, some disease because of the flood and all those, you know. So without that immediate attention, or without the real medicine that we are going to send to them, I think it will become much more worsen the situation. So that was one thing, all right, so which we did. And currently we are looking into rolling out this thing. Perhaps, I think within the next couple of weeks, we are already ready with Pharmaniaga to look into areas that will have similar situation. And we are also working with Bomba and other local authorities on this. So this is happening. So when you say that drone delivery, all right, this is happening, all right, in Malaysia. Okay, so I think because of that, you can see the government is already looking into this seriously, all right, by giving us proper permits, application to fly, and so forth. So because of that, I think this is going to make a huge, all right, on the logistics and infrastructure for us to gain more. Number two, I would like to mention this very clearly. When a rigger, do you know what's rigger? Rigger is a person who climbs the tower. Okay, I'm going to give you a very simple scenario. One rigger, all right, one person or two person who wants to climb the tower, if they want to do some inspection, they will require at least 4 to 5 hours to climb, to take pictures, all right, and to come down to do a report, 4 hours. So per day, you can only take 2 hours, all right. Currently, we are working with Axiata. We have been awarded Axiata. We are in 8 countries. Apart from Malaysia, we are in Indonesia, Nepal, Philippines, etc. So our team, all right, by using that drone, all right, we can take within 30 minutes. Just imagine how many towers that we can do within a day. All right, so we are looking at 5 to 6 towers versus 2 towers up to 8 towers. And also, that's the ratio that we are looking at. Why is it so important? Because everyone uses this as a main communication. If this is down, just imagine you cannot connect to your family, cannot connect to your friends. All right, it's a disaster. Because of that, all right, so it's very optimal, or it's very important for us to have a proper maintenance and report of the tower. All right, so these are the 2 cases. Use cases that we had recently that we want to share along. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lee. I think that was very interesting because now he mentioned about 8 pillars, kan? Just to add on, when you guys drive, you see all these long electricity poles along the highway, right? So let's say something's wrong on the pole, rosak ke, karat ke, or there's some repair work done. It takes about 4 hours, but that's a side, yeah? What also happens is by the time, let's say if I'm a worker, my physical size, I go up, not 4 hours, probably 6 hours, right? Size, yeah? So 6 hours, I climb down. By the time I do the report in the next 3 hours, there are other problems on the pole already. Because it's too late, right? So drones can do that for you real time. You don't need someone up there. Drones fly, feed you real-time data through connection networks, and you get that real time. And then you can tell which worker goes to which pillar rather than going one by one by one. There are millions of pillars, but that's just on the pillar story. And that's where Captain goes like, Navin, you have not asked my use cases yet. Captain, over to you, Captain.
All right, thanks, Navin. Now, I'm really impressed that my 2 co-panelists who are younger than me have actually talked about reality as is today. Now, I would like to take you all something slightly beyond, because you're a bit older, kan? So have to be a bit more imaginative. I would have expected them to be that, but the vision that we see. Today, not many people realize that we live very closely with artificial intelligence. It's just that it has not come out and grabbed us yet only. Because in 2015, when AlphaGo bit the human, we knew game over already. Everything that you think manually going to be done by humans is going to be artificial intelligence. That's the reality. And when it's going to happen only, it's not whether it will happen, it's when, just when. So to prepare for that, there are a lot of business opportunities. Seriously. So I'm sure my co-panelists will agree. What we are talking today as reality, on-ground solutions, etc., you will never see humans doing those jobs anymore in the next 5 years. For example, climbing a pole, harvesting the palm oil, doing the dirty, dull, dangerous, difficult jobs. You won't see them anymore there. So there will not be a need for humans to actually expose themselves in this kind of thing. And there comes the question then, if all these manual, tough jobs are all taken over by robots or whatever that we want to call them at that particular time, what will humans do? Right? And that's where the challenge is actually. And that is also another opportunity for every one of us. Then we become really creative. We become the problem solvers and the creators of probably the next generation technologies then. Because AI will definitely run your day-to-day job. That's for sure. Right? So these are the opportunities that we have in this realm. So yes, it's a drone industry, but the drone is an intelligent machine. It's becoming more and more intelligent, just like what Syafiq was saying just now, that, you know, when you put a sensor on it, it becomes a tool. When you put big data on it, it becomes an analyst. Your data scientist all is going to go out of job already, right? And just like what Razalee was saying just now, if it takes, you know, or Navin was saying just now, that if it takes 3 hours for a man, probably it takes 3 minutes for the machine to do that job. So you get more and more complex machines out, working with you or working against you. It's your perception, but we would like to say it's an opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you so much. No, they have been speaking a lot. You can clap, lah. Come on. And these are very, very informative things that you don't read or hear. These are real use cases. Malaysians, we always believe in, I see, then I believe. Now I'm telling you, you hear, you believe. And Captain kept asking, when? That's a very important question, because before pandemic you say, hey boss, when you want to use drone? Your question is, you see first lah, let other people do, then we follow, right? Again, it's not wrong. But now, the question is not what do you want to use the drone for, question is when do you want to use the drone, because drones can do everything you want them, even beyond your imagination, right? So last time question is, technology partners will say, okay, you tell me what do you want. I will cater my service based on that. Now the question is, what you want? Because drones can do everything that you could ever think of, right? And these are very proud to say, local Malaysian drone companies, right? Again, a clap for that. We talk about belilah barangan buatan Malaysia, drone buatan Malaysia, or integrated in Malaysia. So that's excellent. We have great talents, we have great technology companies, and yes. Now for us at MDEC, we have my DroneTech ecosystem. We do a lot of ecosystem engagements. I know it's a broad word, but let me summarize that. We do a lot of projects to validate whether the solution is feasible, to validate whether the solution is scalable, and then we work with technology partners so that many other individuals, organizations, associations out there can adopt these technologies. So far, we're also proud to say that we have about 10 DroneTech pilot projects in collaboration with SME Corp, Charm, Meranti, Mosti, KCOM, and many other agencies, right? Is 10 enough? Not at all. We welcome more. So for those of you who are demand or even a drone company, come and talk to us. Come and talk to me. That's why we actually removed our masks, so you can see the full face. Yeah? Okay, on that note said, drone. So, question to you, Syafiq. What is your hope for drone, specifically for Asia drone, in the next, I'm not going to say the typical 10 years, in the next 2 years? Over to you.
Right. On behalf of Asia Drone and also on the drone community itself, I would say that my hope to the industry would be like there will be more people come into the industry, because we see there are a lot of like gap to be filled, and we not only require some guy to just flying a drone and then not simply like Razalee give a drone, hey, can you fly this drone? Yeah, I can fly. But we need someone that beyond that, meaning who can manage the whole fleet from A to Z, meaning that we give you a drone, you can manage from the pre-flight itself until the post-flight, and then also doing the maintenance and repair. Now, these are about the hardware part. We have also, we require also talent to fill in terms of on the software part. We have a lot of like data to be analyzed. Currently, now we just taking photos, and then we took for granted, we just store in our database, data not being analyzed, video not being analyzed. But moving forward, these are the things that we need talents actually, a lot of in terms of analyzing the data, and then moving towards on the AI. So otherwise the data will be underutilized. And some of my partners, when they started off in the DroneTech, now currently they are not doing any more on the drone. Because like what Captain Sudhir has mentioned, drone is just a platform, just a tool for you to collect a data. So now they are moving towards on the data-driven companies. So moving forward, I hope in terms of from Asia Drone itself, we want to be, we want to grow more in terms of the talent development, not just training Malaysian, but also on the international basis. Not only in the drone piloting, drone operation, but also more on the application wise. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. To add on a little bit, Asia Drone is one of the largest and most established accredited drone training providers in Malaysia. For those who want to become a drone pilot, who wants to learn about courses on drone, that's your go-to person. But marketing skill. Because why? Most of the challenge is that we don't know what we have in Malaysia. We have everything, right? Mr. Lee, over to you, 2 minutes.
Thank you. I think I'll make it very quick. First thing, I think from hardware, what we have done before, digital transformation is the thing that we want to look into. Okay, so the software part, the AI part, as mentioned by our colleagues just now, and also looking into what does this transform to the next level. So digital transformation is something that is a big word. It's a big word. All right, but what are the indicators inside to make it better? So that's our inspiration. I'll give you an example of what we had before. Remember, just now I mentioned about 2019 that we started with. So you see, the talent that we had, all right, it's very important. I really want to highlight this. You don't pick and choose. You don't pick and choose. Everyone is a talent. I'll give you an example. It's a true story. Real case scenario what we had. Our head engineer, all right, I'm not ashamed to tell, you can meet him later, all right. He is a mud rumpet. Okay, you know illegal racer? Okay. So from there, all right, so we built our engine drones from that level up to what we have today. He was working in a mechanic shop, all right. We took him because of his talent, all right. He was in Pahang and Kelantan, so you know his dialects. He can't even speak English. Today, he's talking to Japan, he's talking to China, he's talking to US companies in English, and also providing knowledge to the new graduate students. That's how the talent works. So there's no bad talents, it's always good talents. It's how we make them a better talent. Thank you.
That actually makes me feel good because I think I'm a good talent too. So I'm kidding. But again, for Meraque, they are actively hiring to join their ecosystem. Please, for those who are interested, who are looking out for different opportunities in DroneTech, you can approach Mr. Lee, Razalee. Mr. Lee, so yeah. All right, Captain, over to you, Captain. Your aspiration for Kambyan networks.
Okay, so as rightfully mentioned by the co-panelists, talent is a real, requirement for this industry. And we are also actively recruiting. We just put out our cadet pilots advertisement, and it will run every month. In fact, we are churning out 20. We have places for 20, sorry. And ours is a totally remotely processed autonomous field operation. That means it's the next step. It's the next natural evolution of this industry. And we are ready for that. We have already applied for all the permits, etc., to get it going to that level, which will be complementing all what our co-panelists do. This is beyond visual line of sight operation. That means we can actually operate below canopy for miles and miles. And then we can also go into tunnels, we can go in anywhere. So as a technology company and consortium that we are, don't worry, we are not taking away jobs from anybody when we say technology is going to do work. We are actually creating jobs in the high-tech environment, high-paying income, meaning to say, for example, I'll just run with you. We pay 48,000 ringgit for one person for 12 months. That's how serious we are. But our expectations are high. You have to pass the course at 75% passing mark. But if you make it, your minimum income, although the base income as we call it is 2005, is already touching 5,000 plus. That's the level of income that a person will be making. Of course, that's not much if you compare to the US dollar sliding, Malaysian dollar sliding against the USD. But it's still a decent income for any Malaysian youngster who is of Form 5 education or what Lee said. Actually, we really do not look at your graduate certificate at all. to us is of no meaning. If you have the will, if you have the capability to read, write, and understand what you write, not like a doctor. Okay, sorry if there are doctors in the house. But if you have that three things, that is read, to understand, write to explain, count to quantify, you can become this person that we want you to be. So that's the kind of aspiration that we have for the younger people in the nation. For the technology part of it, we would like to see the platform being used by as many people as possible, because it will really help. Now, just a little bit sidetrack here, although it's part of this. You see, for a farmer, if you ask him to take his land and go to the bank and ask for a loan, they will value it only at the agricultural value kind of thing, which probably will be maybe 50 cents a relong or 50 cents an acre or something like that, depending on which location you are. The bank will never look at what is on top of his land, or whether it's a produce is musangking or oil palm or paddy. They don't look at that. They only look at that natural value. But when we go there and do the digital transformation for the farmers, we can now predict how much money he can make in the next 5 years, and that is real value that we are talking about. That's the kind of digital transformation that we can do. So the aspiration for us is to roll out this platform of ours. We call it the Intelligent Digital Agriculture System, and be it as ubiquitous as possible so that anybody, anywhere can use it. And that's our aspiration.
Thank you so much. So again, Kambyan Network is hiring. Look, you heard the numbers from him. Huh? It's about potential 5,000 ringgit and more. Everyone is a talent. On that said, there's time for two things now. The time for drone to fly is now. And the second time is time for questions.
We don't have any questions on Slido, but it's not too late to pop in a couple of questions. We have maybe 5 minutes left. For any questions you have on Slido, if you do not have the QR, we can quickly put the QR code up on the screen for you. But any questions, please submit them over Slido. We have only about 5 minutes left.
5,000 ringgit question. Going once? Any questions, anyone? Please ask. If I were sitting in your place, I'll probably ask, what would be the cost to use drones? Just to add on that, for you to use a drone, you do not need to buy a drone anymore. Drones are available as a service by acre size, by the hour size, by the amount of data generated. It can be discussed. Yep. Questions? I'm giving you tips. Free drone models are available for sale too. Yeah, I think I have a question. We have a question on the floor. Loud and clear, Chief. I would love to walk out, but then the distance is...
Okay, let's switch that QR code to Slido, or maybe you just want to yell out your question to save some time.
Wonderful. How much will it cost to use drone technology to do a project, say 1 acre to 2 acre land? Anyone?
Okay, so the biggest challenge would be to get it transformed into the digital portion of it. So we call it digitalization. Now, for us, I would not know about my friends here, but for us, our rates are at 200 ringgit per hectare. That's how we charge. So the bigger your hectare, the cheaper it is for you. But we do take into account that the fact that the farmers cannot afford it. So we can cut a deal with the farmers that they don't have to pay us for that upfront. When we make the produce happen and take it to the mill or take it to the market, and when they sell that produce, we will take a portion of it. So that way there is no capex or minimum capex, let's say. Minimum capex is all OPEX, and we take care of the OPEX. So he actually has got higher income using the technology, and he goes back and have a sound sleep. That's basically how it works.
Again, the point to note, the more hectares means it's not more expensive, it's cheaper, right? That's how the perception that we have always had is the bigger the land size, the more expensive it is. No, not for drones at least. Yeah, the more the land, the cheaper it is, because it's a one-time flight, right? Any more questions? Good question, gentlemen over there. Any more questions?
I believe there was one question on Slido. If we can just pull up that question one more time. Okay, it seems to have dropped off. Okay, Navin, I think that's about all the time we have for the session.
Thank you so much again. Now, on behalf of the Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC, we cannot do this alone. An ecosystem is big. We need as many partners as possible. DroneTech is here to stay. DroneTech is here to take over the Malaysian Airways. Local Malaysian companies are more ready than ever. Thank you so much to Asia Drone Technologies, to Meraque, to Kambyan Networks. Thank you so very much. And with that said, drones fly high until we meet again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to Navin for chairing that session, and also to our panelists, Captain Sudhir, Muhammad Syafiq, and Encik Muhammad Razalee. Thank you so much for all of your fantastic input. There were some questions that popped in just as you closed, but for anyone who asked those questions, all of our panelists are still here, so please feel free to dunk up them after the session and ask them privately. Are you okay with that? Excellent. All right, thank you. As Navin said, it's an ecosystem, so everyone needs to work together. So we really appreciate you supporting the work that they're doing. Thank you so much to Navin and our panelists. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a QR code up here for you to share your feedback with us. We'd really appreciate hearing your thoughts on this session. In the meantime, let me just quickly summarize the session that we had just now. Obviously, for someone who knows very little about drone technology, this was a very interesting session for me. But what I picked up on this was that there is still very little awareness of the drone sector locally, despite the top 20 drone tech companies in the world being mostly Malaysian. Challenges in the sector include lack of manpower, such as difficulty finding experts or talents locally to collate and interpret data from the drones meaningfully, as well as for deploying drones on a wider scale. Now, plenty of high-paying jobs can be created with the 4Ds, or dirty, dull, dangerous, and difficult jobs being taken over by drones by upskilling laborers and technicians to become drone operators, including the imaging, mapping, and problem detection for the agricultural sector, highway maintenance,